Being aware is a tragedy in many senses, and I'll tell you exactly why. Most people would think being aware is a good thing, right? Awareness gives you an ability to have a great discernment, a great ability to understand right from wrong, but it's exactly that makes it tragic. Because another aspect of being aware is that it doesn't take away the fact that you're human. And with human comes desire, emotions, and so on, right? Humanly, we like as humans, right? We possess goals we want to achieve. We possess things that we want to attain. But with that, we also possess pleasure. We want dopamine, we want so on. And those two forces are like opposing forces that contrast each other in many ways. Um, but mainly why I would say it's a tragedy is that constantly you believe you know you should be doing something, and this goes in hand with procrastination. uh you're aware of what needs to get done, but sometimes it feels like you can't do it. Or even if you do get to do that task, you feel isolated. Uh and an example with this would be in certain social cues where you're in certain social situations, and instead of your brain thinking about being in the moment, you're thinking about everything else. Why am I here? Why did I come to this place? Why am I indulging in any activity that we're doing right now? I could be doing something better. And you almost dissociate from the whole situation entirely because you're aware, right? It's like partially you're in the moment, the other side of you is not, right? And this is tragic in a sense because it removes the experience, or it removes the true authentic feeling that you can feel in that experience, and you almost feel like you have to play an act to fit in. And this can be observed in many other ways, but that's one way that being aware is essentially tragic. Uh, and ultimately, those that are aware are different, right? And that isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it almost kind of leads you to believe that you're destined to be alone, or at least that's how I feel, right? Towards this certain situation. And why I think that is that I'm 17 years old, by the way, so obviously I'm still young. I have a lot of time, but I don't have time to really indulge in any social activities. And even if I do, I constantly dissociate from those situations and just realize I could be doing something better. So I pretty much just kind of lock myself away in my house. You'll either find me at the gym or at my house trying to get work done. And it's a perpetual cycle of procrastination and work, which is a terrible cycle that I'm trying to get rid of. But it sucks, right? And I'm aware of all of it. Uh, I'm aware of almost everything in terms of emotion and social situations. For example, sometimes like I may compare myself to people, and I know comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is this. Comparison is bad. Sure, but you can't deny the fact that comparison is a crucial part of human development, right? It's a crucial part of identity. How are you supposed to know how insignificant or significant you are if you have nothing to compare it to, right? Uh, Comparison is something crucial that we do innately, subconsciously. So even if you say it's a bad thing, that's not going to necessarily stop the fact that you're going to compare yourself regardless. But in those states when I'm procrastinating, I often feel like I'm not doing anything, and then when I look around and people are actually doing work, more work than I have achieved, I almost look around and I realize, what am I doing with my life? I'm doing absolutely nothing with my life, you know? Like I try to lock myself away in my room and tell myself that I'm being productive and that I'm working towards a bigger goal to be successful and so on. But in reality, I'm just feeding myself lies that are gonna give me momentary dopamine to in to almost encourage this facade that I'm actually doing anything significant with my life. Um, and I know I'm like laughing, but it's like genuinely like sad in the sense because I'm aware of it all, but it's like a paralysis. But then other times I'm really disciplined and I'm getting work done, and I genuinely feel like I have no life. Uh, I'm about to finish my junior year of high school, and I remember just the other day I had just started the junior year of high school, and I remember the anxiety I felt because everybody was saying that it was the hardest year of high school. There was a lot of work, a lot of so on whatsoever. And I remember that first day too, going to each of my classes, my head was throbbing, right? Because I was like, oh, I'm going to AP Lang, then I'm going to A Push, then I'm going to all these different honors classes, and they would do these different orientations or sheets like, oh, this is what's expected for the class and so on. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be a long day or a long year. That day felt like almost yesterday. It's been over 8 months, and I have less than a couple of days left until I am technically a rising senior. Time flew, and I feel like I have done nothing with that time. While I'm looking around and I feel like everybody else is getting ahead but me, and I'm aware of it all. And that identity crisis of believing that everybody is ahead of you, it almost makes you think, why even try? Like, why are we even trying? Why are we working so hard? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? If there'll always be somebody that is better. Then you reflect back inwards and you realize that, again, comparison is the thief of joy, and you must focus on yourself. You must focus on your own achievements and staying grounded. Because, again, constantly comparing yourself will never grant you true joy, because there will literally always be someone better. There will always be somebody stronger. You could become the strongest person in your gym, and then all of a sudden you go to another gym and everybody is stronger than you. So, what am I trying to say here? I know it sounds like I'm rambling, but I'm saying that the idea of being aware is a curse because it breeds overthinking, and not only overthinking, it breeds a negative connotation towards genuine life and existence, because you're stuck in thought, you're stuck in comparison, you're stuck in analyzation, you're stuck in, and I almost shift because I'm a believer in God, right? But it's almost like my ideals are bipolar, because sometimes I have nihilistic ideals. Sometimes I think that nothing truly matters and that all of existence was just a accident of chemical reactions that fused and so on. But at the same time, when you truly understand the complexity of life and so on, you then realize that nothing was an accident, and that there had to be a higher creator for everything. And ultimately, existential thought is pointless because it just keeps you rambling about paradoxical theories and philosophical theories that ultimately loop around and just cause you to think all day and get nothing done. And so, in that sense, I almost feel like I'm destined for solitude. I'm destined to be alone because I don't make time for others. I constantly, like, I barely have friends. I literally barely have any friends, honestly. Uh it's more like acquaintances because nobody really knows me, who I am. I really, like, even this side of me on YouTube where I just post this stuff, nobody sees this stuff, really. Like, at all. And here is like my safe place where I can just get my thoughts out and just talk about whatever is on my mind. Or, criticize society, because a lot goes on within my head. And if I wasn't making this YouTube video, I'd probably be rambling in a dark corner back there to that doll, about my thoughts. But yeah, ultimately, awareness is a curse because it traps you in an existential cycle of thought rather than true presentness and action. But ultimately, maybe the best way to negate that effect is staying grounded, staying self reflected in a way that allows you to keep moving even in doubt. And sometimes it's important to remember that although there'll always be someone better than you, ultimately the only person you have to beat in this life is yourself. And on the concept of nihilism and true existence and whether we exist or not, our thoughts are what ground us, right? Identity is a tricky concept because there is the self and there's the I, you, so on. Uh, and sometimes you have to go deep into those ideals. You have to look deeper, look further, see what's truly down there. I mean, Nietzsche stated that he looked into the abyss. He looked into the abyss. Is it abyss? Yeah. He looked into the abyss. But maybe instead of just looking at it, maybe you need to jump into it and truly find what's in there. Because we fear darkness. And he was the first person to stare at it in the face. But maybe you need to confront it to truly find what holds you back in terms of awareness. I know this video made absolutely no sense, but thank you for your time.